Have you ever felt broken, lost, or completely alone? What if I told you you're not broken, you're becoming? Stay with me, because this might change the way you see yourself forever. Pain is not the enemy, it's a teacher. Do you believe this? The pain you've been running from might actually be the most important teacher in your life. Picture this. It's late at night. You finally lie down after a long day. The lights are off, and all you want is rest. But instead of sleep, your heart begins to pound. A heavy weight presses on your chest, and in the silence you hear your own thoughts getting louder. What's wrong with me? Am I too weak? Why does life hurt this much? If you've ever whispered these questions in the dark, you are not alone. Behind millions of closed doors, countless people are experiencing the same struggle. They hide it with smiles during the day, but when night falls, their pain comes back, raw and unfiltered. We were taught to believe that pain is an enemy, that it's something to fight, to silence, or to run from. We reach for medication, bury ourselves in endless work, distract ourselves with noise and screens, anything to avoid sitting face to face with what aches inside. But Buddhism has carried a different truth for over 2,500 years. Pain is not here to destroy you. Pain is here to guide you. It is not your enemy. It is your teacher. Think about your body. When you cut your hand, the sting of pain isn't a punishment. It's a signal, an alarm telling you, pay attention, protect me, give me the chance to heal. If your body couldn't feel pain, you might keep using that injured hand until the wound became infected. The consequences could be devastating. Emotional pain works in the same way. Sadness, loneliness, depression, anxiety, none of these mean you are broken. They are letters from the deepest part of yourself, messages written in a language most of us were never taught to read. Imagine a teacher who refuses to let you skip class, who patiently repeats the lesson until you finally understand. Pain is that teacher. It can feel harsh, even cruel, but beneath that strictness is care. Beneath the discomfort is wisdom. Buddha said, "Suffering is the doorway to awakening." That heartbreak that nearly shattered you may be trying to teach you self-love. That failure that made you doubt yourself might be showing you the way to a path that actually fits your soul. Pain lingers only until its lesson is heard. The more you resist it, the louder it becomes. One of the greatest myths about happiness is that life will only be okay when the pain is gone. But the truth is, real peace doesn't come from eliminating pain. It comes from walking with it, listening to it, letting it reshape you without destroying you. Look at the people who inspire us most. They are not the ones who avoided suffering, but the ones who transformed it. They turned grief into compassion, failure into resilience, loneliness into self-discovery. Just as the lotus needs mud to bloom, the human heart often needs pain to open. So tonight, instead of running, try something simple. Place your hand gently over your chest, feel your heartbeat, and take a slow, deep breath. As you exhale, whisper silently in your mind, "Hello, pain. I know you're here." You don't need to fix anything. You don't need to force answers. Just acknowledge it, the way you would greet an old friend stepping into the room. If you want, you can ask, "What lesson are you here to teach me today?" You might not hear words, but something shifts in the moment. You stop fighting and start listening. Pain stops being a monster in the dark. It becomes a messenger, a guide. So the next time night falls heavy on your chest, remember this: you are not broken, you are not weak, You are in the classroom of the strictest, most persistent teacher, your own pain. And every time it returns, it is not trying to crush you, it is inviting you to grow. Place your hand on your heart, breathe, and instead of asking, "Why me?" try asking, "What are you here to teach me?" Because sometimes the very thing you've been running from is the doorway to everything you've been searching for. Do you know the very first truth the Buddha ever taught was not about happiness, not about heaven, not even about enlightenment? It was about suffering. And here's the shocking part: he didn't say it to make us hopeless. He said it to set us free. Think about this. Suffering is not a mistake in your life. It's not proof that you've failed. It's simply part of being human. The Buddha called this the first noble truth. Life contains pain, loss, heartbreak, disappointment, illness. They are all built into the fabric of existence. The mistake we make is not in feeling pain, but in thinking pain means we are broken. Imagine you're caught in a storm. Rain is pouring down, the wind is howling, and you're furious at the weather. You shout at the sky, "Why now? Why me?" But the storm doesn't care. It just rains. When you accept that storms happen, you stop wasting energy on anger and simply open an umbrella. That's the difference between suffering that crushes us and suffering that teaches us. So many people spend their lives asking, "Why me?" as if pain is some punishment. But what if the better question is, what is this trying to show me? When a relationship ends, maybe the lesson is learning self-worth. When your dream collapses, maybe it's guiding you toward a new dream that fits who you've become. Pain is not personal, it's universal. Every human heart breaks, every body gets sick, every plan eventually changes. The freedom begins when you stop fighting that truth. There's a saying, pain is inevitable, suffering is optional. Life will bring pain, but suffering is what happens when you resist it, when you make it mean something about your worth, when you tell yourself you'll never be okay again. But just as your body knows how to heal a cut, your spirit knows how to heal emotional wounds if you let it. So let's try a practice. The next time pain rises in your chest, instead of distracting yourself, place your hand gently on your heart. Close your eyes. Take 3 slow breaths. Then ask quietly, "What are you trying to tell me?" Don't demand answers. Don't force clarity. Just listen, the way you would listen to a dear friend in pain, because that's exactly what you're doing. You're becoming a friend to yourself. Remember this, suffering is not proof you're weak. It's proof you're alive. It's life's way of saying, wake up, pay attention, there's something here for you. When you stop treating pain like an intruder and start treating it like a teacher, everything changes. So the next time life knocks you down, don't ask, why is this happening to me? Ask, what is this teaching me? That one shift might be the difference between feeling crushed and feeling awakened. Have you ever felt lonely even when you were surrounded by people? Maybe you were at a party, in a crowded cafe, or sitting in a family gathering, yet deep inside you felt like nobody could really see you. That familiar ache in your chest, the silence that feels so heavy, it almost has its own weight. That's loneliness. And here's the twist. Everything you've been told about loneliness might be backwards. What if loneliness isn't emptiness at all? What if it's spaciousness, waiting to be filled with something real? We live in a culture that teaches us to fear being alone. From the time we're children, we hear things like, don't sit by yourself, or It's sad to eat alone. We scroll through social media, comparing our quiet moments with everyone else's highlight reels, and convince ourselves that solitude equals failure. But in Buddhism, there is an ancient truth. Solitude can be medicine. Loneliness is not a punishment. It is an invitation to return to yourself. Think of it this way. A seed doesn't grow in the noise of daylight. It sprouts in the darkness, in the quiet soil, hidden from sight. In the same way, your heart often finds its strength not in crowds, but in silence. The Buddha himself left behind his palace, his wealth, his family, and spent years sitting alone beneath trees, wandering through forests, searching not for company but for truth. And in that profound aloneness, he awakened. When you feel lonely, your mind tells you, this is emptiness, something's missing. But what if you shifted just one word? Instead of emptiness, call it spaciousness. Spaciousness is not hollow. Spaciousness is full of possibility. That open ache in your chest can be the very space where your own presence finally expands. Instead of running to fill it with noise or company, you can sit with it and discover that your own company is not torture, it can actually be nourishing. Here's a practice you can try. The next time you find yourself alone and the familiar ache of loneliness rises, pause. Look around the room as if you're seeing it for the first time. Notice 5 things you can see. Notice 4 things you can touch. Notice 3 things you can hear. 2 things you can smell. 1 thing you can taste. In just a few minutes, you'll find yourself back in the present moment. And here's the secret. Loneliness cannot survive in the present. It only lives in memories of the past or fears of the future. When you are fully here, the loneliness softens into presence. Remember, there is a profound difference between being alone and being lonely. Being alone is a circumstance. Being lonely is a story. You can rewrite that story anytime you choose. Noble solitude, as the Buddha called it, is not isolation. It is choosing to spend time with yourself the way you would with someone you love, gently, patiently, without judgment. So the next time silence feels heavy, don't rush to escape it. Sit with it, breathe into it, let it become your spaciousness. Because loneliness isn't proof that you're broken. It's proof that your soul is calling you back home. Have you ever felt like a wave of sadness or anger would never leave you, as if it had taken over your whole being? Maybe you've told yourself, this is just who I am now. I'll always feel this way. But here's the truth. Your emotions are not who you are. They're just visitors. They come, they stay for a while, and then they move on. You are not the storm, you are the sky that holds the storm. Buddhism has a beautiful way of teaching this. Everything is impermanent. Every feeling, every thought, every sensation is like weather passing through. Some days bring sunshine, some days bring heavy rain, some days bring thunder and lightning. But no matter what the forecast is, the sky remains. It doesn't cling to the storm, and it doesn't chase after the sunshine. It simply allows. That sky is you. Think of the last time you felt overwhelming anger. Your jaw tightened, your chest burned, your hands curled into fists. In that moment, it felt endless. But did it last forever? Number. The fire eventually cooled. Or think about grief. In the beginning it crashes over you like giant waves, but slowly, over time, the waves grow softer. They still come, but they don't drown you anymore. That's impermanence. Even the heaviest emotions are temporary. One powerful way to remember this is to change your language. Instead of saying, "I am sad," try saying, "Sadness is visiting me." Instead of, "I am anxious," try, "Anxiety is moving through me." That small shift reminds you that you are not defined by what you feel. You are the host, and emotions are the guests. Some are pleasant, some are difficult, but none of them stay forever. Here's a practice you can try the next time you're caught in a strong emotion. Close your eyes, take one deep breath. Imagine the feeling as a cloud in the sky. Watch it float across your awareness without chasing it or pushing it away. Just notice it. Say quietly to yourself, "This too will pass." You may not believe it right away, but if you stay long enough, you'll see it's true. The cloud always moves on. You are bigger than your emotions. You are the vast, open sky. And just as the sky doesn't break when a storm rolls through, you don't break when sadness, anger, or fear visits. The storm may rage, the thunder may roar, but above it all, the sky remains wide, open, unshaken. That sky is your true self. So the next time you feel like your sadness will never end, remember it's only weather. Let it rain, let it thunder, let it move. And know that behind it, the sky of your being is still clear, still infinite, still untouched. That's who you really are. If your heart could speak right now, what do you think it would say? Would it beg you to slow down? Would it ask you to stop pretending everything is fine? Or maybe it would whisper something so simple you've forgotten how to hear it. Please, just listen. We spend so much of our lives trying to fix, to numb, to push through. We swallow our emotions, override our exhaustion, ignore the signals our body sends. But what if the first step to healing isn't doing more, it's pausing, placing your hand on your heart, and finally listening? Here's a simple practice you can try tonight, one that has been used in Buddhist traditions for centuries. Sit comfortably or lie down in bed. Close your eyes. Rest your hand gently on your chest, right over your heart. Take 3 slow, deep breaths. As you inhale, imagine your hand warming your heart. As you exhale, let go of any tightness you've been holding. Then silently say, "I am here. I hear you." That's it. No pressure to solve anything, no expectation for what comes next, just presence. At first, you might feel nothing. That's okay. Or you might feel everything at once: sadness, relief, longing, even gratitude. Whatever comes up is welcome. The point is not to fix. The point is to listen, because your heart has been waiting a long time for your attention. Think about it. Your heart has been beating for you every single day, without asking for thanks, without demanding recognition. It has carried you through joy and through heartbreak. Even in the moments you felt like giving up, it never stopped fighting for you. Isn't it time you gave it a moment of your attention in return? This small act of listening can transform your relationship with yourself. When you place your hand on your chest, you're telling your heart, "You're not alone anymore. I'm with you." That simple shift changes everything. Loneliness softens, fear loosens its grip, a quiet trust begins to grow. So tonight, before you sleep, try it. Place your hand on your heart. Breathe. Say gently, "I'm here. I hear you." Don't rush it. Don't judge it. Just let your heart know that, after all this time, you're finally listening. Because healing doesn't always begin with medicine or answers. Sometimes healing begins with a hand on the heart and the courage to say, "I'm here now." In What if I told you your depression, your sadness, even the darkest nights of your soul are not permanent? They feel endless when you're in them, like a storm that will never stop raining. But the truth is, every storm passes, every cloud moves on. Nothing, no pain, no despair lasts forever. Buddhism calls this truth impermanence. It means that everything is in motion, always changing. Think about the seasons. Winter can feel brutally long, grey skies stretching on and on, but spring always comes. The ice melts, the trees blossom, the air softens. Just as nature shifts, your inner world shifts too. The despair that feels permanent right now is actually just weather passing through your life. Imagine a tree standing in the middle of a fierce storm. Wind bends its branches, rain lashes against its bark. If the tree believed the storm would last forever, it would break from fear alone. But the tree doesn't panic. It simply bends, trusts and waits. And when the storm moves on, the tree is still there, stronger because it endured. You are like that tree. The problem is, we often forget storms are temporary. We think the way we feel right now is the way we'll always feel. But hasn't life already proved otherwise? Haven't you had days when you thought you'd never smile again, and yet one day, without planning it, you laughed? Haven't you had moments when you thought your heart would never mend, but slowly it did? Impermanence is not a theory. It's your lived experience. So here's a practice. The next time a wave of despair hits, whisper to yourself, "This is just a storm. It will pass." Imagine your feelings as clouds drifting across the sky of your mind. Some are dark and heavy, some light and fleeting, but none of them stay forever. You don't need to chase them or push them away. Just watch them. Let them move. Remember, impermanence is not bad news. It's the greatest comfort. It means your sadness will change. It means your loneliness will soften. It means no matter how dark your night, the dawn is already on its way. So when life feels unbearable, don't believe the lie that it will always be this way. Sit like the tree. Bend but don't break. Trust that the storm is already passing, because even now, beneath the clouds, the sky of your being remains clear, vast, and untouched, waiting to shine again. Have you ever noticed how trees let go of their leaves in the fall without hesitation? They don't cling, they don't resist, they don't cry for summer to come back. They simply release what no longer serves them, trusting that new growth will return in the right season. What if your life is asking you to do the same? One of the greatest sources of human suffering is our refusal to let go. We cling to relationships that have ended, jobs that drain us, versions of ourselves that no longer fit. We grip so tightly that our own hands bleed, yet we're too afraid to release. But Buddhism teaches that clinging is the root of suffering, and the moment we loosen our grip, something remarkable happens. Freedom rushes in. Think about holding a rope that's burning your palms. The tighter you pull, the deeper the rope cuts, the more it hurts. But in our minds, we tell ourselves, "I can't let go. What will I have if I release this?" And yet the answer is simple. You'll have peace. You'll have open hands ready to receive something new. The moment you stop pulling, the pain begins to ease. We often believe that letting go means losing. But letting go is not about losing. It's about making space. When you empty a cup, it doesn't become worthless. It becomes available for fresh water. When you let go of the old story, the old dream, the old wound, you're not left with nothing. You're left with possibility. Here's a practice you can try. Close your eyes and picture a bird in your hand. Your grip is tight because you're afraid it will fly away. But notice how your hand trembles, how the bird struggles. Now, in your mind, slowly loosen your fingers. Feel the relief in your hand. Maybe the bird flies, maybe it rests. Either way, both of you are free. That bird might be your past, a memory, an old identity you've outgrown. When you release it, you create space for something better to land. So the next time you feel yourself holding on to what's hurting you, remember the trees, remember the rope, remember the bird. Life is always asking us to practice release, not because it wants to punish us, but because only open hands can receive what's meant to come next. Letting go is not weakness, it's wisdom. It's the art of trusting that what is yours will stay, and what is not was never meant to. And just like the trees, you will find that every ending is only the beginning of a new season waiting to unfold. Have you ever noticed how sometimes the things you hold on to the tightest are the very things weighing you down? Imagine clutching a rope that's burning your palms. Every instinct tells you to pull harder, to hold tighter, but the more you grip, the more it hurts. All along, the freedom you've been craving comes from the one action you're most afraid to take, letting go. Buddhism teaches that attachment is the root of suffering. It doesn't mean you can't love or care or be passionate. It means suffering arises when you confuse holding with living, when you mistake control for safety. Just as a child clings to a toy they've outgrown, we cling to relationships, identities, or dreams that no longer fit us. And then we wonder why we feel so heavy. Think about your own life. Maybe you're still holding on to words someone said years ago, words that cut deep and left scars. Or maybe you're gripping tightly to an image of who you used to be, stronger, younger, more successful, and you torture yourself by comparing the present you with the past you. Every time you do, it's like wrapping that burning rope tighter around your own hands. But what happens the moment you release? The pain begins to fade, the wound can start to heal. The very act of unclenching opens the door to peace. Letting go doesn't erase the past. It simply sets you free from reliving it over and over. Here's a simple practice you can try right now. Close your eyes and imagine the thing you've been clinging to most. Picture it as a stone in your palm. Feel the weight of it. Notice how your hand aches from holding it so long. Now, imagine slowly opening your fingers and letting the stone fall. Feel the relief in your hand. Notice how lightness flows in the moment you release. This isn't just imagination, it's training your mind to trust that release is safe. Letting go isn't the end of love. In fact, it's what allows love to be real. When you stop holding people hostage to your expectations, you give them space to be themselves. When you stop gripping your own life so tightly, you finally have room to breathe, to grow, to receive. So the next time you feel yourself gripping, remember the rope, remember the stone, remember that freedom is never in the clenching, always in the opening. Letting go is not losing. It is choosing peace over pain, trust over fear. And when you dare to release, you discover something miraculous. Your hands were never empty. They were always capable of holding something greater. What if I told you that freedom doesn't come from trying harder or doing more? It comes from softening, from surrendering. We live in a culture that praises control. We're taught to push, to fight, to conquer every obstacle in our way. But the harder we try to control life, the more exhausted we become. The truth is, real freedom begins the moment you allow yourself to let go. Buddhism teaches that clinging and resistance are like chains we place on our own hearts. Every time we insist that life must unfold exactly as we demand, we tighten those chains, and then we wonder why we feel suffocated. But imagine loosening that grip. Imagine trusting the flow of life, the way a river trusts gravity to carry it to the sea. The river doesn't resist. It doesn't fight every rock, every bend. It moves with what is, and because of that, it always arrives where it's meant to go. Think about a time when you resisted reality. Maybe someone left your life and you told yourself it shouldn't have happened. Maybe a job ended and you replayed it over and over, wishing it were different. That resistance became suffering. It wasn't just the event that hurt, it was your fight against it. Now, think about a time when you finally surrendered, when you whispered, "It is what it is." Do you remember the relief that came? The way your shoulders loosened, the way your breath deepened? That's the power of release. Here's a simple practice. The next time you feel trapped in resistance, close your eyes. Picture yourself holding a handful of sand. Notice how tightly you're squeezing it, how the grains cut into your skin. Now, slowly open your hand. Feel how the sand settles gently, how it slips through your fingers without pain. That's the difference between gripping life and allowing it. One cuts you, the other frees you. Surrender is not about giving up. It's not weakness, it's wisdom. It's saying, I trust that life knows what it's doing, even if I don't understand right now. When you soften into trust, you discover that life carries you in ways your mind never could have planned. So the next time you feel yourself fighting reality, remember the river, remember the sand, remember that freedom isn't found in control, it's found in trust. And the moment you surrender, you'll realize something profound. Life was never against you. It was always trying to carry you home. What if I told you that freedom doesn't come from trying harder or doing more? It comes from softening, from surrendering. We live in a culture that praises control. We're taught to push, to fight, to conquer every obstacle in our way. But the harder we try to control life, the more exhausted we become. The truth is, real freedom begins the moment you allow yourself to let go. Buddhism teaches that clinging and resistance are like chains we place on our own hearts. Every time we insist that life must unfold exactly as we demand, we tighten those chains. And then we wonder why we feel suffocated. But imagine loosening that grip. Imagine trusting the flow of life, the way a river trusts gravity to carry it to the sea. The river doesn't resist. It doesn't fight every rock, every bend. It moves with what is. And because of that, it always arrives where it's meant to go. Think about a time when you resisted reality. Maybe someone left your life and you told yourself it shouldn't have happened. Maybe a job ended and you replayed it over and over, wishing it were different. That resistance became suffering. It wasn't just the event that hurt, it was your fight against it. Now, think about a time when you finally surrendered, when you whispered, "It is what it is." Do you remember the relief that came, the way your shoulders loosened, the way your breath deepened? That's the power of release. Here's a simple practice. The next time you feel trapped in resistance, close your eyes. Picture yourself holding a handful of sand. Notice how tightly you're squeezing it, how the grains cut into your skin. Now, slowly open your hand. Feel how the sand settles gently, how it slips through your fingers without pain. That's the difference between gripping life and allowing it. One cuts you, the other frees you. Surrender is not about giving up. It's not weakness, it's wisdom. It's saying, I trust that life knows what it's doing, even if I don't understand right now. When you soften into trust, you discover that life carries you in ways your mind never could have planned. So the next time you feel yourself fighting reality, remember the river, remember the sand, remember that freedom isn't found in control, it's found in trust. And the moment you surrender, you'll realize something profound. Life was never against you. It was always trying to carry you home. Have you ever watched a bird take flight and wondered how effortless it looks? The secret isn't in the bird's wings, it's in the air itself, the invisible support always present, waiting to lift it higher. What if your life is the same? What if healing doesn't come from adding more weight, more effort, more struggle, but from allowing yourself to be carried by something greater? This is the heart of the Buddhist teaching on release. The moment you stop fighting, the moment you stop trying to fix every detail, you begin to feel supported by life itself. It's like finally answering a phone that's been ringing for hours. The noise stops not because the call ended, but because you picked up and listened. In the same way, pain softens when you acknowledge it, and healing begins the instant you allow it. Many people think freedom is somewhere in the future, hidden in the next achievement or the next relationship. But Buddhism reminds us, freedom is in this very breath, in this very moment. Every time you inhale, you are literally receiving life. Every time you exhale, you are letting go. Breathing is your body's way of practicing impermanence, practicing release. You don't cling to each breath, you trust the next one will come. What if you treated the rest of your life the same way? Try this simple practice tonight. Sit quietly and close your eyes. Place one hand on your chest, the other on your belly. Take a slow inhale and whisper silently, "Now is safe." Exhale and whisper, "Now is enough." Repeat this for 3 minutes. Notice how your mind begins to settle, how your body softens. You don't have to plan tomorrow. You don't have to fix yesterday. Right now, this breath is enough. The truth is, healing isn't about controlling your life into perfection. It's about remembering that perfection was never required. You don't need to grip so tightly. You don't need to carry every burden alone. Just like the bird doesn't question the air, you don't have to question whether life will hold you. It always has. It always will. So the next time you feel yourself drowning in effort, pause, breathe, whisper, "Now is safe, now is enough." And in that moment, you'll discover something astonishing. The freedom you've been chasing has been here all along, quietly waiting inside each breath you take. Have you ever noticed that peace always feels just out of reach? We tell ourselves, "I'll finally be calm when this problem is solved, when I get that job, when I find the right person." But here's the truth that might surprise you. Peace isn't waiting somewhere in the future. It's right here, in this very breath. Buddhism has always taught that the present moment is the only place healing is possible. The past is memory, the future is imagination. Only now is real. And yet most of us live everywhere except here. We replay regrets from yesterday like broken records, or we fast forward into worries about tomorrow. Meanwhile, this moment, this heartbeat, this inhale, this exhale slips by unnoticed, like a gift unopened. Think about the last time you were completely present. Maybe you watched a sunset, and for a moment your worries disappeared. Maybe you held someone you love and time seemed to stop. Or maybe you lost yourself in music, and for just a few minutes, the noise of your mind went silent. That was presence. That was healing happening without effort. Here's the secret. You don't have to wait for special moments to feel this. You can practice presence anywhere. Washing dishes, drinking coffee, walking to the mailbox. Each of these ordinary actions can become meditation if you bring your full attention to them. Monks call this mindful living, turning everyday life into a sacred ritual. Try this practice right now. Take one slow breath. As you inhale, say silently, "I am here." As you exhale, say, "This is enough." Do it again. Inhale, "I am here." Exhale, "This is enough." Notice what happens. Your mind may wander. That's okay. Just bring it back to the breath. Because every breath is proof you are alive, proof that you have everything you need in this moment. Peace doesn't arrive when life is perfect. Peace arrives when you stop waiting for the future and start inhabiting the present. Even in pain, even in struggle, this truth holds. The present moment is spacious enough to hold it all. So the next time your mind races ahead or drags you back into the past, pause, breathe, whisper, "I am here. This is enough." Because the life you've been waiting for is not somewhere else. It's happening right now, in this very breath. Have you ever noticed how a simple cup of tea can feel like medicine when you're fully present with it? The warmth against your hands, the rising steam, the way each sip travels down and spreads calm through your chest. That little ritual shows us something profound. Peace doesn't live in grand achievements. It lives in the smallest moments we usually rush past. Buddhism calls this mindfulness, the art of being fully awake to what is happening right now. And the truth is, mindfulness doesn't have to look like hours of sitting meditation. It can be as simple as drinking your morning coffee without checking your phone, or noticing the sound of water while you wash the dishes. When you give something your full attention, even if it's ordinary, it becomes sacred. Think about the last time you ate a meal while distracted. Maybe you scrolled your phone, maybe you worried about tomorrow, and before you knew it, the plate was empty. You hardly tasted it. Compare that to the times you slowed down, you noticed the flavors, the texture, the aroma. The meal became richer, not because the food changed, but because you were present for it. That's the power of mindful living. Here's a practice you can try today. Choose one ordinary activity: brushing your teeth, making your bed, pouring a drink. Do it slowly. Feel every movement. Notice every detail. Pretend this small act is the most important thing you'll do all day. You might be surprised at how nourishing it feels. Presence doesn't mean you escape life. It means you finally experience it. Instead of letting your days blur together in a haze of distractions, you open your senses. You reclaim the richness of the moment. And when you collect enough of these mindful moments, they add up to a life that feels grounded, meaningful, and whole. So, the next time you pick up your coffee or tea, pause, feel the cup in your hand, take a slow sip. Let it remind you that peace is not hiding in the future. It's right here, waiting quietly in the smallest details of your everyday life. Have you ever felt trapped by your own emotions? Like they were the ones in control and you were just along for the ride? Maybe it was anxiety spinning your thoughts, or sadness pulling you into its weight. In those moments, it's easy to believe you are the emotion itself. But here's the truth. You are not your feelings. You are the awareness behind them. Buddhism teaches that our emotions are like passing clouds, but our awareness is the open sky. Clouds can be dark, heavy, even stormy, but they never destroy the sky. The same is true for you. When you remember that your awareness is larger than any feeling, you shift from being a victim of emotion to being the witness of it. And in that witnessing, freedom begins. Think about the last time you felt anxious. Your chest tightened, your thoughts raced, your stomach churned. In that moment, it felt like anxiety was you. But then it passed. It always does. What remained after it left? You. The awareness that noticed the whole experience. That awareness is your true self. Here's a simple practice. The next time a difficult feeling arises, don't label it as me. Instead, silently say, anger is here. Sadness is visiting. Anxiety is passing through. This shift in language may feel small, but it creates distance. It reminds you that emotions are guests, not owners of your house. You are the host. You decide how to relate to them. When you stop identifying with every thought and feeling, you begin to experience a quiet power. You realize you can allow emotions to come and go without being swept away. You can feel sadness without drowning in it. You can notice anger without being consumed by it. That is true strength, the strength of awareness. So the next time you feel trapped, remember, you are not your fear, not your grief, not even your joy. You are the vast awareness that holds it all. Like the sky watching clouds, you are steady, spacious, unbroken. And once you see this, no emotion can ever truly control you again. Have you ever noticed how much energy it takes to keep running from your pain? We distract ourselves, we bury ourselves in work, we scroll endlessly, all because we're afraid of what we might feel if the noise stops. But here's the paradox. The more you run, the more the pain chases you. The moment you stop and turn to face it, something amazing happens. It begins to soften. Buddhism teaches that suffering doesn't come from the pain itself, but from our resistance to it. When we tighten up, when we say, I can't feel this, we create a second layer of suffering on top of the first. It's like fighting quicksand. The more you struggle, the deeper you sink. But when you allow yourself to be still, when you stop fighting, you find solid ground beneath you. Think about a time when you finally stopped running from an emotion. Maybe you let yourself cry after years of holding back. Maybe you finally admitted, yes, I'm angry, instead of pretending you were fine. Do you remember how it felt afterward? Lighter, clearer. That's because facing your pain transforms it from an enemy into a teacher. Here's a practice to try. The next time a difficult feeling rises, instead of distracting yourself, pause, close your eyes. Place a hand over your chest and whisper, I see you. You're allowed to be here. Breathe with it. You don't need to analyze it or fix it. Just make space. Often, that simple act of permission is enough for the intensity to ease. Running takes energy. Avoiding takes energy. But sitting in awareness takes none. And in that stillness, you realize something powerful. Your pain is not trying to destroy you. It's trying to deliver a message. When you listen, you no longer feel hunted by your own emotions. You feel guided by them. So the next time you feel the urge to run, remember, freedom doesn't come from escape. It comes from presence. And when you stay, when you breathe, when you listen, you discover that your pain is not the end of your journey. It's the doorway to your healing. Have you ever wished there was a simple tool you could use in the middle of chaos, something small that could instantly remind you you're safe and grounded? The truth is, you already have it. It's your breath. Every inhale and every exhale is a quiet anchor, pulling you back to the present moment. You don't need special equipment. You don't need a perfect environment. All you need is the courage to pause and breathe. Buddhism has always pointed to the breath as the most reliable doorway to peace. Why? Because the breath only exists now. You can't breathe yesterday's air. You can't breathe tomorrow's air. You can only breathe this one, and each time you notice it, you're reminded that right here, in this moment, you are alive. That's enough. Try this practice the next time your mind is spinning with worry. Close your eyes. Inhale slowly and silently, say, "Now is safe." Exhale gently and say, "Now is enough." Do it again. Inhale, "Now is safe." Exhale, "Now is enough." After a few minutes, notice what shifts. Your problems may still exist, but your relationship to them softens. You've stepped out of the storm of thought and returned to the calm of presence. Think of your mind like a snow globe. When it's shaken, everything swirls in chaos you can't see clearly. But when you set it down, the snow slowly settles, and the scene beneath is revealed. Your breath is that setting down. Each inhale and exhale allows the mental storm to clear, showing you the peace that was always underneath. Breathing this way doesn't erase your challenges. It changes how you carry them. Instead of being swept away, you become steady. Instead of drowning in anxiety, you find a rhythm to hold on to. One breath, one step, one moment at a time. That's all life ever asks of you. So the next time you feel overwhelmed, remember this: peace is not somewhere far away. It's in your lungs, right now. All you have to do is pause, breathe, and remember, now is safe, now is enough. Have you ever wondered why children seem to recover from pain so quickly? A child falls, scrapes a knee, cries for a moment, and then runs off to play, as if nothing happened. But as adults, we trip over disappointment and stay down for months, sometimes years. The difference isn't the pain itself, it's the story we attach to it. Buddhism teaches that much of our suffering comes not from what happens to us, but from how we hold on to it. We take a single event, a breakup, a failure, a harsh word, and we carry it like a heavy stone, replaying it again and again. Over time, the story becomes heavier than the original pain. The knee scrape of the heart turns into a lifelong limp, not because of the wound, but because of the way we refuse to let it heal. Think of a broken bone. When tended with care, the bone doesn't just mend, it grows back stronger at the fracture. Our hearts work the same way. Breakage does not mean the end of us. It means the possibility of renewal. In Japanese art, there is a practice called kintsugi, mending broken pottery with gold. The cracks don't disappear. They become the most beautiful part of the piece. Your pain, your scars, your disappointments can become gold lines in your life, not blemishes. Here's a practice you can try when you feel broken. Close your eyes and picture your heart as a fragile cup. Notice its cracks, the places where it feels fractured. Now, imagine filling those cracks with golden light. See them glowing, shining even brighter than the rest of the cup. Whisper to yourself, "I am not broken, I am becoming." This shift in perspective changes everything. Remember, healing is not about erasing your pain, it's about transforming it. It's about seeing that the parts of you that feel most fragile may one day be the very places you shine the brightest. So the next time life breaks you open, don't hide the cracks. Don't rush to glue them shut. Let them breathe. Let them teach you. Because sometimes it's in the breaking that the real beauty finally has space to emerge. Have you ever seen a lotus flower rising out of muddy water? Its roots sink deep into the dark, messy pond, yet it blooms pure, untouched, breathtaking. The lotus doesn't escape the mud, it uses it. And in Buddhism, that image reminds us of something powerful. Your suffering, your darkest nights, are not wasted. They are the very soil where your healing and awakening can grow. We spend so much energy trying to get rid of the mud in our lives, the heartbreak, the failures, the losses. We think peace means having a life free of struggle. But just like the lotus, you don't bloom by avoiding the mud. You bloom by transforming it. The very things you thought would destroy you often become the source of your deepest wisdom. Think about your own story. Maybe the loneliness that once crushed you eventually taught you how to love yourself. Maybe the job you lost forced you to find your true calling. Maybe the relationship that broke your heart showed you what love really means. Mud doesn't stop the lotus from blooming. It makes the bloom possible. Here's a practice you can try. Take a piece of paper and write down one of your struggles, the mud you've been stuck in. Then, underneath it, write one lesson, one strength, one piece of wisdom that has already grown from it. If nothing comes to mind yet, that's okay. Trust that it's still growing beneath the surface. Even when the pond looks still, roots are spreading, life is preparing to rise. The next time you look at your pain and think, "This is ruining me," remember the lotus. Remember that beauty can rise from darkness, clarity can grow from confusion, and compassion can be born from suffering. You are not broken because of your mud. You are blooming because of it. So when life feels messy, don't curse the mud. Bow to it. Thank it. Because one day, you'll look back and realize it wasn't the obstacle, it was the foundation of your flowering. Have you ever felt like being broken meant you were finished? Like once something inside you cracked, there was no way back? That belief is one of the deepest lies we tell ourselves. In truth, what feels like the end is often the beginning. Think about glass shattering on the floor. It's easy to believe it's ruined forever. But the human heart is not glass. It's more like the earth itself. When an earthquake splits the ground, new rivers are formed, mountains rise, landscapes change. The breaking doesn't mean destruction, it means transformation. Buddhism teaches that impermanence is not only about loss, but about possibility. Every time life breaks you open, it's also creating space for something new to emerge. The end of a relationship might feel like death, but it can also be the birth of self-discovery. The collapse of a dream might sting like failure, but it can also point you to a purpose you never saw before. Breakage is not final, it's fertile ground. Here's a practice you can try. Sit quietly and close your eyes. Picture yourself holding a clay pot. Notice the cracks in it, the pieces that feel fragile. Now imagine those cracks glowing with light, as if they were channels for something divine to shine through. Whisper to yourself, every crack is an opening, every ending is a beginning. Feel how that shifts your perspective. Remember, the most beautiful stories rarely come from lives that never broke. They come from people who shattered and then chose to rise, carrying the light that seeped through their cracks. That's what makes them magnetic. That's what makes them whole. So the next time you feel like you've reached the end, remind yourself, broken doesn't mean finished. It means becoming. It means you're in the middle of a transformation your mind may not yet understand, but your soul already trusts. Have you ever looked at your reflection and thought, I'm ruined, I'll never be whole again? That voice inside can feel convincing, but here's the truth. You are not ruined. You are not broken beyond repair. You are becoming something new. Buddhism reminds us that nothing is permanent, not even the version of ourselves we think is shattered. Just as a snake sheds its skin, just as the moon shifts from darkness to light, your brokenness is not the final word. It is a stage in the cycle of becoming. Painful, yes. Messy, absolutely. But final? Never. Think about how a forest regrows after a fire. At first, it looks like devastation, ashes, smoke, silence. But beneath the soil, seeds are waking, roots are reaching, and new life is preparing to rise. Months later, green shoots push through the blackened ground. Years later, the forest is alive again, often richer than before. You are that forest. What feels like ruin right now may simply be the fire that clears space for your renewal. Here's a practice you can try when the voice in your head says, I'm broken. Sit down, close your eyes, and place your hand over your heart. Whisper gently, I am becoming. Repeat it with each breath. Feel how it shifts your energy from despair to possibility. You don't have to know what you're becoming yet. Trust that life is still moving within you, even in the ashes. Remember, the most powerful people you know, the ones whose presence feels magnetic, aren't those who never broke. They're the ones who broke open and allowed that breaking to change them. They let pain carve space inside them, and then they filled that space with compassion, wisdom, and resilience. So the next time you hear the lie that says, you're ruined, smile softly and answer back, I'm not ruined, I'm being remade. Because the truth is, you are not broken, you are becoming. If you could write a letter to your pain, what would you say? Would you beg it to leave you alone? Would you curse it for everything it's stolen from you? Or could you be brave enough to whisper, thank you for teaching me? Buddhism teaches that when we stop fighting our suffering and instead open a dialogue with it, we discover something extraordinary. Pain has been trying to guide us all along. The act of listening, really listening, turns wounds into wisdom. Here's a practice you can try. Tonight, before you sleep, take a sheet of paper and begin with the words, Dear Pain. Let yourself write freely. Tell your pain everything you've been holding back. Your anger, your fear, your exhaustion. Don't censor it. Let the words pour out like water breaking through a dam. Then pause, take a breath, and on another page, let your pain write back. This time, don't think. Just allow the words to flow. You might be surprised by what appears. Often, the voice of pain is softer than we expect. It may say, I've only been trying to protect you. I've only been asking you to rest. I've only been reminding you to love yourself. This practice isn't about magic. It's about remembering that pain is not your enemy. It's a messenger. And when you honor the message, the intensity begins to soften. Like a friend who's been waiting years to be heard, pain finally relaxes when it knows you're listening. Think of it like sitting with someone you love who's crying. You don't try to fix them. You don't rush them. You simply sit and listen. That presence alone becomes medicine. Now imagine offering that same presence to yourself. That is the beginning of real healing. So tonight, don't run from your pain. Write to it, listen to it, thank it, because sometimes the most important relationship you'll ever build is the one with your own heart. And the moment you stop silencing it, you'll realize something powerful. Your pain was never here to break you. It was here to lead you back to yourself. Have you ever searched for love everywhere, through relationships, through achievements, through the approval of others, only to find that no matter how much you receive, it never feels like enough? Here's the truth most people never hear. The love you've been desperately seeking out there has always been waiting in here. Real love, the kind that fills loneliness instead of feeding it, begins with yourself. Buddhism teaches that the foundation of compassion for the world is compassion for your own being. Without it, every other connection feels shaky, conditional, incomplete. Think of it this way: you can't pour water from an empty cup. If you don't know how to love yourself, you'll end up giving from a place of lack, always hoping others will refill you. But when you learn to love yourself deeply, you become a river. Your love flows outward naturally, without fear of running dry. So why is it so hard to love ourselves? Part of the reason is the stories we carry. Maybe you were told you weren't enough when you were young. Maybe you were taught to believe your worth depends on what you achieve or how others see you. Over time, those messages became the voice in your head that whispers, "You don't deserve love. You'll only be worthy when you prove yourself." But Buddhism offers a radical shift. Your worth is not conditional. You were born with it. You are already enough, not because of what you do, but because you exist. Think about the way a parent holds a newborn child. The baby doesn't need to perform or achieve to be loved. The simple fact of their existence is enough. That's the same way you were once held, and the same way you still deserve to be held, especially by yourself. Here's a practice you can try tonight. Sit quietly, close your eyes, and place your hand over your heart. Whisper gently, "May I be safe. May I be peaceful. May I be loved." This is called loving kindness meditation, or metta. At first, the words may feel awkward, even fake. You may not believe them. That's okay. Think of it like planting seeds. Seeds don't bloom overnight, but with repetition, with patience, the roots take hold. The more you practice, the more you'll notice a shift. That harsh inner critic starts to soften. The loneliness that once felt like a black hole begins to glow with warmth. And then, something beautiful happens. Your compassion naturally extends to others. Once you've tasted self-love, you no longer seek love as a desperate need. You share it as an overflowing gift. Think of a time when someone spoke to you with genuine kindness, without wanting anything in return. How did it feel? Expansive, healing, safe. Now imagine offering that same kindness to yourself every single day. What might change? You'd stop treating yourself like an enemy. You'd stop starving for scraps of validation. You'd finally realize you were never unworthy. You were simply waiting for your own love to arrive. The truth is, loneliness doesn't come from being alone. It comes from being disconnected from yourself. When you return to self-love, you stop feeling abandoned. You realize you are always accompanied by your own heart, by your own awareness, by the deep presence that has been with you since birth. So the next time you feel empty, stop searching outside. Sit, breathe, place your hand over your heart and say, "May I be safe. May I be peaceful. May I be loved." Don't wait until you deserve it. Don't wait until you're better. Say it now, exactly as you are. Because love doesn't come when you're perfect. Love is what helps you remember you were never broken. And when you truly learn to love yourself, you'll discover the most beautiful secret. You were never lacking love. You were the source of it all along. Have you ever whispered to yourself, "I wish someone would just care about me, just one person who truly sees me"? That longing is universal. But here's the paradox. Until you learn to offer yourself the same kindness you crave from others, no amount of love from outside will ever feel like enough. Buddhism calls this the practice of metta, or loving kindness. It begins not with grand gestures, but with the simplest words. May I be safe, may I be peaceful, may I be free from suffering. When you repeat these phrases, you're training your heart to turn toward compassion instead of criticism, to soften instead of harden. Most of us carry an inner voice that judges constantly. You should be better. You should have done more. You're not worthy. That voice grows from years of conditioning parents, teachers, culture, even our own fears. Over time, we mistake it for the truth. But here's what the Buddha discovered. The mind is trainable. Just as you can practice lifting weights to build strength, you can practice loving kindness to build compassion. Imagine waking up each morning and, instead of checking your phone or diving straight into stress, you placed your hand on your chest and whispered, "May I be peaceful today. May I be gentle with myself." At first, it might feel strange, maybe even silly, but repetition rewires the mind. Slowly, the harsh voice quiets. Slowly, a gentler presence takes root. And here's the miracle. When you cultivate kindness for yourself, it doesn't stop there. It begins to overflow. You naturally start extending the same compassion to others. The anger that used to flare so quickly starts to soften. The envy that used to poison your thoughts starts to dissolve. Loving kindness spreads outward like ripples in water. You send it to yourself, then to a loved one, then to a stranger, and eventually to the whole world. Try this practice right now. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath. Repeat silently. May I be safe. May I be peaceful. May I be loved. Then, picture someone you care about deeply. Repeat, may you be safe. May you be peaceful. May you be loved. Notice the warmth that grows in your chest. That warmth is healing. That warmth is connection. We often believe love is something to chase, to earn, to find. But Buddhism teaches that love is a practice. It's a skill. It's something you cultivate every day, not something you wait to stumble upon. The next time loneliness creeps in, try this. Instead of wishing someone else would show up for you, show up for yourself. Offer yourself the very kindness you long for. Because the moment you do, you'll realize something profound. You are not waiting for love. You are practicing it. You are becoming it. And when you become love, you will never be without it again. Have you ever noticed how hard it is to truly love others when deep down you're at war with yourself? Maybe you've tried giving and giving, only to feel drained, resentful, or invisible. The truth is simple but often overlooked. Until you learn to treat yourself with compassion, your love for others will always feel incomplete. Buddhism teaches that compassion is not a limited resource. It's not something you either give away or keep for yourself. It's something that grows the more you practice it. But here's the key. It has to start at home, within your own heart. Imagine trying to light a candle with a flame you refuse to acknowledge. You can't share what you won't allow yourself to feel. Think about the way you talk to yourself when you make a mistake. Do you scold yourself with words you'd never say to a friend? Do you pile shame on top of failure? That inner cruelty doesn't just hurt you, it bleeds into your relationships. When you're harsh with yourself, you become harsh with others, even if you don't mean to. But when you practice self-compassion, something shifts. You start speaking to yourself the way you'd speak to someone you love, gently, patiently, kindly. And as you soften toward yourself, you naturally soften toward others. Your love becomes freer, cleaner, less entangled with expectation. You no longer love in order to be loved. You love because love has filled you and overflowed. Here's a practice you can try. The next time you feel critical toward yourself, pause. Place your hand on your chest and ask, would I say this to a child I love? If the answer is no, change the words. Replace, I'm such a failure with, I'm learning. Replace, I'll never get it right with, I'm trying, and that matters. Each gentle word is like water poured onto dry soil. Over time, the seeds of compassion grow stronger, and once they grow, you'll notice a difference in your relationships. You'll stop needing people to fix your loneliness because you're no longer abandoning yourself. You'll stop expecting others to love you perfectly because you've already begun to love yourself unconditionally. From that place, you can offer real compassion, love that doesn't cling, doesn't demand, doesn't drain, love that simply gives, like the sun shining without asking for anything in return. So the next time you feel like you don't have enough love to give, check in with yourself first. Ask, am I offering compassion to my own heart? Because the truth is, compassion is a cycle. What you give to yourself, you can give to others. And what you give to others circles back to nourish you. Remember this. Loving yourself is not selfish. It's the foundation of loving others. Without it, every connection wobbles. With it, your love becomes steady, unconditional, and endless. Have you ever thought of loneliness not as a curse, but as a gift? It sounds strange, even cruel, doesn't it? When you're aching for connection, when silence presses down on you like a heavy blanket, the last thing you want to hear is that your solitude could be sacred. But Buddhism offers a radical idea. There is a form of aloneness that is not empty, it is noble. It's called noble solitude. We often confuse loneliness with being unloved or unwanted, but loneliness is not the absence of people, it's the absence of presence. You can feel lonely in a crowd if you're disconnected from yourself. On the other hand, you can be alone in a quiet room and feel deeply at peace if you are connected inwardly. Noble solitude is choosing the second path, being with yourself in a way that feels whole, not hollow. Think about the difference between being lonely and being alone. Loneliness feels like a locked room, suffocating and small. Being alone, when practiced with mindfulness, feels like a spacious garden where you can breathe, rest, and rediscover your own voice. The Buddha himself spent long periods in solitude, not to escape the world, but to understand it more deeply. In silence, he met himself fully, and from that meeting, wisdom was born. Here's a practice you can try. Set aside just 10 minutes each day to be intentionally alone. No phone, no distractions, no noise. Sit somewhere quiet, close your eyes, and simply notice your breath. At first, the silence may feel uncomfortable, even unbearable. But stay, breathe, listen. Over time, you'll discover that what you feared wasn't the silence itself, it was meeting yourself. And once you befriend that presence, the silence turns sweet. In noble solitude, you realize something powerful. You are never truly alone. Your breath is with you. Your awareness is with you. Life itself is with you in every moment. When you sit in solitude with compassion, loneliness transforms into connection, the deepest connection of all, the one with your own being. So the next time loneliness visits, don't run from it. Welcome it as a teacher. Sit with it. Let it show you that solitude is not emptiness, it is spaciousness. It is the soil where your deepest wisdom and your strongest love can finally take root. Have you ever felt like no matter how many people are around you, there's still a quiet voice whispering, "You're alone"? That ache can feel unbearable. But here's the truth Buddhism offers. You have never truly been alone, not for a single breath. Everything in existence is connected, and you are part of that great web of life. Thich Nhat Hanh, the beloved Zen master, called this truth into being. He taught that nothing exists by itself. Look at a simple sheet of paper. At first, you just see paper. But look deeper, you'll see the sunshine that allowed the tree to grow, the rain that nourished it, the soil that held its roots, the logger who cut the wood, the mill that processed it. Without all of those, the paper could not be. That means within a single sheet of paper, the entire universe is present. And the same is true for you. When loneliness tells you you're isolated, remember, your breath is shared with the trees that release oxygen. The food you eat carries the work of countless hands, from farmers to transporters to cooks. Even your heartbeat echoes the rhythm of generations before you. You are not separate. You are a continuation of life itself. Here's a practice to feel this truth. Step outside and find something living: a tree, a flower, even the sky itself. Breathe in and silently say, "I am connected." Breathe out and say, "I am never alone." Repeat this for a few minutes. Feel how your body begins to relax, how your heart begins to soften. That's not imagination, that's reality reminding you of its embrace. Loneliness may visit, but connection is always deeper than loneliness. You belong to the earth, to humanity, to the great unfolding of life. Even in solitude, you are supported by countless seen and unseen beings. You are never walking this path by yourself. So the next time that whisper comes, "You're alone," answer it with the greater truth. "No, I am part of everything. I am with all that is." And when you remember this, loneliness loses its power. Because the reality is, you've been connected all along. Have you noticed how this journey has unfolded? We began by facing pain, not as an enemy, but as a teacher whispering lessons we've avoided for too long. We learned that suffering is part of life, but it does not define us. We discovered that loneliness is not emptiness, but spaciousness, a place where we can finally meet ourselves. We moved into the art of letting go, trusting impermanence, and realizing that freedom isn't found in clinging but in surrender. Like trees shedding their leaves or rivers flowing toward the sea, we too can release what no longer serves us and allow life to carry us. Then we came home to the present moment. Through the simple acts of breathing, sipping tea, or noticing the sky, we saw that peace has never been in some far-off future. It has always lived in the here and now, waiting for us to arrive. Next, we explored the beauty of brokenness. We learned that cracks do not mean the end of us, they are places where light enters. Like the lotus rising from mud, or pottery repaired with gold, our wounds are not shameful, they are sacred. They are the very pathways through which our deepest wisdom and compassion are born. And finally, we remembered love, the love that begins within. We saw how self-compassion nourishes us, how noble solitude strengthens us, and how connection with all of life means we are never truly alone. Love is not something we chase, it is something we practice, something we embody, something we already are. So here is the final truth. You are not broken, you are becoming. You are not alone, you are deeply connected. You are not searching for peace, you are peace, the moment you choose to be present. As you close this journey, place your hand on your heart. Take a deep breath, whisper to yourself, I am safe, I am enough, I am home. Because everything you've been longing for, the healing, the freedom, the love has been here all along, inside of you, waiting for you to remember. This isn't the end of your journey. It's the beginning of living with open eyes, open hands, and an open heart. Carry these teachings with you, not as ideas, but as daily practices. And watch as your life transforms, not by becoming someone else, but by finally remembering who you truly are. Thank you for walking with me through this journey. Together, we've learned that pain can be a teacher, letting go can bring freedom, the present moment holds peace, brokenness can become beauty, and love begins within. If these teachings touched you, remember, you are not broken, you are becoming, you are not alone, you are deeply connected. I'd love to continue this path with you. So if you found value here, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next teaching. Let's keep growing, healing, and remembering who we truly are together.